That's not right, guys. Man. So I just kind of want to. I kind of want to start this by just giving my thoughts. I want to start the stream by just giving my thoughts on kind of where we're at, and like what I think is wrong with everything that happened today. And then I'll get in there and start talking to you guys. So first and foremost, what happened today by the Mariners? Firing Scott Servais is the right move. Okay. However, the way that this was handled, the way that the firing of Scott Servais was handled is pitiful. It is not a way that a Major League Baseball club should handle something like this. There are so many problems with what happened today. So let me paint the picture for you. I have been camping. So I had zero cell service. And on my way down today, because Joe, you guys probably saw we had a podcast go live this morning at 9 a.m. saying, yeah, the Mariners should probably fire Scott Servais today. Which is, as it's clearly, that is something so that's why I'm okay with them firing him. But I had a feeling today was going to be the day, right? It just kind of, the writing was on the wall, in my opinion. I did not come off the mountain until about 3. So Scott had been fired hours before that. And my cell service is in and out. And I just happened to have gotten a text saying, hey, a big news today, huh? Want to talk about, the Mariners? From one of the radio stations that I go on. And I was like, oh, crap. Like, what happened? And so I'm kind of I got all my information from Joe. Right. So I texted Joe. I'm like, dude, I couldn't get on Twitter or anything. No internet was loading. I just had service to basically get text messages. I texted him. I'm like, yo, like, did they fire Scott? And he said, yeah. And Dan Wilson's the manager. I said, oh, okay, whatever. Like, Dan will be the manager the rest of this year. And then he goes, and Edgar is going to probably be the hitting coach. And I go, huh, okay. That's a bit strange because Edgar has been the hitting coach before, but okay, whatever. He has been the hitting coach under, I believe, this regime, right? It was like 2015 to 2018 or something like that. He was the hitting coach for the Mariners. And the offense wasn't terrible, although you had guys like, Kyle Seager and Robbie Cano and Nelson Cruz on this team. You don't have those guys on your team currently. Okay, that was a little bit weird. And then Joe texts me and he says, dude, I think that Dan Wilson is going to be the long-term manager. He's not just interim. And I'm like, oh boy. Okay. So they didn't even do a search to like try and find another head coach. And I was like, that's a bit strange. Okay. And so then I get back to where I have service and I start to see the quotes from Jerry Dipoto's what he was talking about when he was doing like a virtual thing with the media. And the fact that it was leaked that Scott Servais was getting fired is a failure, not only by Jerry, but by the whole organization. For a guy that... So let me talk about that part first, and I'll talk about everything else. For Scott Servais, a guy who has been the manager for 9 years, and honestly, like, in my opinion, I know that there's a lot of people that don't agree with this. But I think that he has been a very good manager. Scott Servais is a guy who I've respected for the most part in his time here. I agree that it was time for him to go. I didn't think it would happen like this. And the fact that a guy like Jerry Dipoto, who said he would, like, him and Scott have said they've been friends for a very long time, for it to go down like this, for Scott to find out on the internet is a failure. Like that is, could you imagine how shitty that is? And I think that because of that, the interview, or not the interview, but the conversation between Jerry and Scott had to be hell, right? And I don't know who could have possibly leaked this, but in the end, it falls on Jerry's head because he is the one who is making these decisions. And if it was leaked by somebody else, that means that he told somebody prior. He told somebody this was happening when someone he shouldn't have, right? The only other thing is that maybe he let it slip yesterday when he was talking to Ken Rosenthal. That's the only other thing that makes sense to me. Either way, this is on Jerry Dipoto 100%, and it is a bad look for a team that in terms of people that in terms of a team that has had so many PR mistakes over the past in the regime of Dipoto. Honestly, the PR of this team has been terrible. And for a guy who loves to talk, he's a horrible communicator. And for a team that is so good at not leaking trades prior to them happening, for this to get leaked, just stupid. Just stupid. And I think that that's kind of where I was at on the first part of it. I'm incredibly upset about that. Moving on now to Dan. Good for Dan. Right? Good. Dan Wilson is put into an impossible scenario. Dan Wilson's going to catch a lot of flack for nothing that is his fault. Because the way this should have gone down, chat, and I think that most of you would probably agree with this, is what the way this should have gone down is the Mariners should have said, okay, Dan, you're the interim manager for the rest of the season, whatever, like the 35 games, whatever it is. Great, cool, doesn't matter, that's fine, who cares? Then they should have gone out and done an extensive search for a new manager. And if they come to find out that Dan is the guy they want, great, then just extend him, hire him again. Like, Dan would be fine with that. I don't know why he wouldn't be. And I think that the fact that they say, without even looking into what other managers are available and saying, yeah, Dan's the guy, like, it just feels so short-sighted by the team. And now, the fact that there's a decent chance, we've heard, that Edgar Martinez will be joining the club in some capacity, probably as the hitting coach. Joe and I talked about this. It just feels like pandering. It feels like the team is trying to get back in the good graces of every fan who loved Dan Wilson and loved Edgar Martinez. They're like, look, these guys are coaches now. It feels like they're pandering to the fans when a team that clearly needed new leadership, clearly needed a new hitting coach, they're going out and getting guys who, honestly, do we know if they're qualified for this job? I don't know. I really don't. The whole thing is just so messed up. The best way that I could describe it is that this is pandering. And they're pandering to the fans to say, hey, look, we brought these two guys back from the 95 team. Woo! You guys like that? Yeah, that's fun. Come on, man. I have no problems with Edgar and Dan Wilson being the coaches. I have problems that it is because I have problems with the way they have become the coaches, right? Like, Dan might be a fantastic manager. That's great. Edgar Martinez, he was a fine hitting coach for the Mariners prior. But I think that them doing this and then saying Dan is going to be the manager moving forward even next year, it's just pandering. That's all it is. And I think Dan will probably be a great manager. I mean, Dan is very well respected in this clubhouse, but Ian Dipoto said it. Dipoto said that he is not an interim manager. He is the manager moving forward into next year. So yeah, he said it today. And so I think that obviously the Mariners were planning this. They were planning this because how else could you be like, yeah, Dan's the guy? They've had the idea of this for a while now. They have had the idea of making Dan Wilson the manager for probably weeks, if not months at this point, and had it lined up, which, okay, cool, great. But it was a media session, Ian. He did a media session at like 3:30 today. And I don't know. The way the whole thing was handled is just so disheartening to me. Again, I think Dan will be fine. Edgar is a hitting coach. Cool, sure, why not? I don't care. Great. The season is on life support. I mean, if somehow Dan and Edgar fix this team and turn them into, like, and turn them into a playoff contender the rest of this year, that's fantastic. But I don't know, man. I think it's just the way this whole thing went down is so weird, and there are more moves to come, according to Jerry Dipoto. But I think that as it stands right now, if Dan Wilson just decides that he's going to like get the gang back together and make like a 95 boys team of like coaches and whatnot, I hope Perry Hill stays. I hope that Pete Woodworth stays. Those guys have been great in my opinion. The rest of them, I don't really care. Negron's great. I like Manny Acta. Those guys are fine. I'll be interested to see if that's what Dan Wilson wants to do going into next year. But I think that as it stands right now, and Ty Dane Gonzalez said it, as a content creator, I have only ever covered this team under one manager. I've only ever watched this team under one manager, and that is Scott Servais. So it's going to be weird. And yeah, Scott and Dipoto are friends, and the fact that it went down like this just sucks. I think Scott's a great guy. I think he was a fine manager for this team, but it was time for him to go. We all know that, and the fact that it went down like this is just terrible, in my opinion. So those are kind of my thoughts on the news today. I don't know if you guys are feeling the same way or what, but I'll start reading some comments now just to try to see how you guys feel about this whole thing. Scott sucks, dude. Second winningest manager in baseball history, in Mariners history. The last 21 through 23, 2021 through 2023 are the second winningest time period in the history of this franchise. Yeah, dude sucks, huh? Yeah, Scott had to have seen the writing on the wall. He had to have known this was coming, especially when Jerry was like, hey, let's have a conversation. Scott had to have known. But even then, like, come on. I did not, Joe. Joe, can you message it to me? You see the statement from Scott that came out about 20 minutes ago? I did not. Yeah, can you send it to me? He blows leads with management. He also wins games with management. That's how managers work. Yeah, that's true, Bo. It's true. That's how managers work. Yeah, if you could just send it to me on, like, Twitter or something, Joe. That'd be Pog Money. But, yeah. So, went down like this. Daddy Widget. Scott Servais found out on the news that he was fired. He didn't even find out from the team. He found out on the news. So, here, chat. I'm going to switch over to this really quick. Scott Servais said, I have devoted my entire life to baseball, from playing Little League games in Coon Valley, Wisconsin, to leading the Seattle Mariners for nearly a decade. It's been one of my greatest honors of my career, and my family are grateful for the shared experiences along the way. To the tremendous people whom I have had the privilege to work alongside every day, players, coaching staff, support staff, ballpark employees, media, and all who had a hand in this journey, thank you. Together, we ended a 21-year postseason drought and just days ago held first place in a fiercely competitive division. To the players, you've been the core of this journey. The energy and competitiveness on the field match the camaraderie and bond we shared in the locker room. Nothing has been more rewarding than watching you grow and bring your all to the game. Damn. I know that this team has a bright future ahead. Wow. To the Mariners ownership, I appreciate the opportunity to lead our team for the last 9 seasons and bring a winning culture back to the Pacific Northwest. Very short. Very, very short to the ownership. That's funny. To the fans, you're the soul of this organization. Your support has driven us to push harder, fight longer, and never back down. The return of postseason baseball to Seattle was a moment we shared together, and I'm confident that your commitment to this team will continue to push them forward. To the city of Seattle, you embrace my family and me, and we are forever grateful for your support. As this chapter closes, I leave with pride in what we've accomplished together and excitement for what the future holds. Thank you, Seattle. Scott Servais. Damn. I don't know. I think he's a great dude. I really do. Like, I think he's a great guy. Damn. Never back down, never what? This part hit me hard, though. To the players, the energy, competitiveness on the field, match the camaraderie and bond we shared in the locker room. Nothing has been more rewarding than watching you grow and bring your all to the game. Damn. That's like... That hits. That hits. That's crazy. Whew. Thank you, Joe. Thank you. All people that leave always skip over ownership. Yeah, because the ownership sucks. It was Servais' time back when we got inexcusably swept by the Angels earlier this season. Bringing in Wilson should light a fire in the team's hearts, but it may be too little too late. And that's one of the reasons why I think that Dan Wilson is put in a impossible position, right? This team sucks. No matter who the manager is, this team sucks. Plain out. Flat and that's all there is. That's the only way you can look at it. If somehow a coaching change, fixes this team, like I will be shocked. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Look at a team like the Angels. What kind of managers have they had over the past few years? They had Joe Madden, right? He sucked with the Angels. One of the most respected managers of all time. He's terrible with the Angels. Same thing with Ron Washington there right now. The team sucks. It doesn't matter who the manager is. The team sucks. Joe Girardi with the Phillies. Team, like, Joe Girardi is the one guy that you can look at over however many years and say, okay, there was a switch that was flipped there. That team had all the talent in the world and it was not performing under Joe Girardi. And whether or not the team would have performed well after, if Joe Girardi hadn't been fired, I think that, in my opinion, I think that he would have, in my opinion, the team would have figured it out because the team was so good. It was way better than what Girardi had been dealing with. So at least Ron Washington knows when to bunt. That's good, I guess. Team still sucks. Scott ruined Kelenic. Kelenic ruined himself. Jared Kelenic. I didn't realize I was still on. That's my bad, chat. Sorry. My bad. I didn't realize I was on that screen. Jared Kelenick's bad, chat. Final answer. 3 innocent people lost their jobs. They didn't perform because that 3 guys lost their jobs and need to find a new job. Any idea who you want for skipper? Who I want for skipper, huh? Like instead of like, I think Dan Wilson's fine. I think that Dan Wilson is a fine guy to have as the manager right now. However, I don't, if, again, I said it a little bit earlier, if the team says, we're going to go look for, a manager in the offseason, and they decide that Dan is still the best choice, then great, hire him back. Hire him back. If that is the case, if they go out and look at other managers and think that Dan's the best guy, cool, then I'm fine with that. But I think that if they just say Dan's the manager next year and the year after that, and they don't go out there and do their due diligence to try to find a manager, again, if it's Dan, great. But if they at least don't go out there and try to find someone different, somebody who has the experience to lead this team to the playoffs, then I think that they're doing nothing but hurting themselves. I think the same goes for a batting coach, a hitting coach. I think that I think that if you're going to just put Edgar Martinez in there, that's fine. But at the same time, Edgar was fine when he was here as hitting coach before, but again, he had a really good team in terms of bats. The bats on that team were fantastic. So I'd be interested to see what the team would look like with Edgar as the hitting coach while over a full season when the bats aren't there right now. Like they're not. You don't have Robinson Cano and you don't have Nelson Cruz and Kyle Seager on this team currently. Like, I don't know. It's so, Joe and I talk about it. It just feels so much like pandering. It feels like they're pandering to the fans. That's the way it feels to me. We got Colton watching himself before GTA 6. True. I agree that people put way too much stock into managers. Yeah, we need Brett Boone so he can tell them all how to use steroids. Let's go. Do you want Dipoto still? I would be okay. I would be okay if Dipoto was here for another like year or two. I'd be okay with that. Just to try to like, not we've seen the pitching wave come through. I'd like to see the hitters wave come through in terms of guys they've drafted. So, don't you feel that Scott mismanaged this team terribly over the last month? Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree, Marshawn. Yeah. No, I think that he has had plenty of screw ups lately, and they've become more and more apparent as this team has started to falter. Joe and I laid into him a little bit, leaving in Taylor Saucedo in the second game of the Dodgers series. Like, I don't know. Setting themselves up for a 2025 season with a terrible team with two former 95 players. At the same time, they're ramming the 30th anniversary of 95 down our oh, God. Oh, no. Could you imagine, chat? Oh, no. What if? I didn't even think about that. Yeah. Like it'll be the 30th anniversary of the 95 team, and they're going to have two players from the 95 team on the coaching staff. Ugh. Makes me want to throw up. Pandering. Depoto's done everything right on paper with the hitters. We're just cursed with bad luck. Honestly, I agree. Like, don't get me wrong. I would rather them go out there and get even bigger bats. But in terms of the moves they've made, it should work. J Mars, what's up, man? Depoto's one of the best GMs in team history? Absolutely. No, that's absolutely true. I completely agree with that. Yeah. I mean, we all know that the real problem is the owners. I don't think anybody is going to disagree with that the owners are the problem. I think we all know, but with Dan running skipper 95 slide and 2001 highlights over and over again, yeah. When the offense still sucks and Edgar, yeah, exactly. Like, so what happens, chat, this time next year, if the offense is still bad with Edgar as a hitting coach? Do you then fire Edgar Martinez? Like, hello? Do you fire Edgar Martinez? Because everyone would be up in arms. I don't know. This makes no sense. Yeah, I agree with you, Accent. This move makes me think that he's going to be here at least for another year or two. So, yeah, I mean, again, Scott Servais is the second best manager in team history, full stop. Full stop. Dan gets a 35-game head start in the next season. This move is for long-term, not short. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad. Again, Dan Wilson is put into a terrible, like, he's put into a lose-lose situation. Like, the only way that he comes out on top is if this team goes on to be really good the rest of this year and next year. On a hitting staff, I mean, shoot, man, I thought Brant Brown was going to be a good addition, so don't ask me that. I have no idea. Yeah, I think that, I mean, Edgar's been the hitting coach before, so, like, we know that he can do it, but in my opinion, the offense in those years was a hell of a lot better than the offense you could get this year, so. It's not official yet, Dylan, but Adam Jude said that it sounds like he will be invited onto the staff in some way, shape, or form. Yeah, why not write out the year and don't renew his contract? I think that the only reason that they didn't do that is because this team still kind of has a chance at the postseason. So I don't know. Like, they want to try to salvage it the best they can. So, Servais is not better than Lou. Who said Servais is better than Lou? Nobody said that. Nobody said that, Jacob. That's why I said he's the second best manager in team history, behind Lou Piniella. Man. That's also not true about the extra wild card spot, Jacob. They won the second. They were in the second wild card spot. So they were in the wild card spot that was already there. So, Wilson the rest of the season, I don't know. I think that it's fine. I think it's fine, I guess. Like, I think I don't I don't see how it could go any worse. You know what I mean? I don't see how adding Dan Wilson could go any worse than it's already been. So, yeah, I don't know. A good manager would relish the opportunity. I mean, with how absolutely shit this team has been recently, I don't know why anybody would relish the opportunity to manage this team. I got you, Jacob. Yeah, that's the thing is he's never been a manager. I mean, and to be fair, neither had Scott. So, wouldn't they have made the playoffs in 18 with a third wild card under Scott's service? Whoa. Would they have made it in 21? Julio gonna hit 400 in September. Yeah, and that's the thing. I have nothing but good things to say about Dan Wilson, the person, and what he's been for the Mariners, like throughout his career. So I think that I have nothing bad to say about Dan. I worry though. Same thing with if they have to fire Edgar. Like, what if they didn't have to fire Dan Wilson? You know, if things go well, don't go well next year. Ugh. Yeah, it sounds like, Jeffrey, that Dan is the manager next year. I think the only way that doesn't happen, Jeffrey, is if, like, Dipoto and all them are gone, and then a new GM comes in and brings in their own coaching staff. So. For nothing? You went to 60 games in 2023 for nothing? You didn't even have fun? You didn't have fun there? Man, that's tough. How'd you survive the dark years, man? Well, the problem is, Speaks, is the problem is that the Mariners have played so poorly against those teams. That's what scares me. Orioles need to score 6+ runs to bottom of the ninth, I believe. Corbin Burns? Yeah, Corbin Burns sucks, huh? The Mariners have fired Edgar Martinez. Yeah, could you imagine that? Ugh, they go like 10-24 the rest of the way. And roll into 25 with Dan Wilson, right? I mean, that's the thing, though, right? That's why I think that Dan is in such an impossible position. I think that he's in such an impossible position because even if the team plays okay the rest of the year, like, and then they decide to go into 25 with him, like, he has to do well, or it's going to be same old, same old. You know, I don't know. It's just it's such a weird situation. Yeah, the end of 23 was tough, Jacob. Who can they call it from AAA? I mean, Joe and I talked about it a little bit. I think Locklear makes some sense. Bliss makes some sense. It's just we I don't know, man. I just don't know if that fixes it. You know what I mean? At the beginning of September, Dan the Man will be great. I agree, Scott. I appreciate that 199. I love Dan the Man, so I think this is great. But it worries me. I think that with the beginning of September, the Mariners get one hitter and one pitcher, like with expanded rosters. Does that mean they bring up Tyler Locklear or Ryan Bliss? Probably. I don't know. They're prepping him to play outfield and third along with second base. W. Yeah, I think just Bliss just makes the most sense. Like, if we could just somehow, there's the 199. Appreciate it. If we could somehow get rid of Dylan Moore, for the love of God, please. You know what I mean? If they have to fire him, it'll be bad. Exactly, Scott. That's what I'm worried about. I think it's still possible to win the division, but it's unlikely that we do win the division. It's still possible, certainly. I think that it's a bit, I wouldn't say it's out of reach, because again, there is a there's a chance, chat, Joe and I talked about this a little bit, there's a chance that they could go on a 10-game winning streak and the Astros slide a little bit, and all of a sudden the Mariners are right back in this thing. You know what I mean? So, DFA Polanco, he's been like your best pitcher. one playoff appearance in 10 years. That's unacceptable. So, and I know that I've already talked about Ty a little bit, Ty Dan Gonzalez, but I'm going to mention him again here. When you look at the tenure of Jerry Dipoto, right? In my opinion, and this is just me, but this Ty also said this, you have to split it up. The first, what did he come in, 2016? The first couple of years, right? He was dealing with the roster that was built on a very high payroll by Jack Zarensic. He was built by a really high payroll. Or, I'm sorry, he had to have a team with a really high payroll for those years. So, Robinson Cano, Felix Hernandez, Kyle Seager, etc. In my opinion, you can't blame him for those years. He tried his best to take a team that was absolute full of albatross contracts, getting older, and I think that because of that, we can't say that those first 2 or 3 years under Jerry Dipoto are his fault. He did his best, and a terrible farm. Thank you, Speaks. Yeah, and a terrible farm. And then he said, we're going to go into a little bit of a step back, okay? Going into, I believe it was into 2019, right? We're going to take a step back. And they were able to unload contracts, right? They were able to magically unload Robinson Cano's contract somehow. Felix was gone, etc. And so they were able to bring payroll back down where they didn't have all this money being sucked up by 4 or 5 guys. And they took one of the worst farm systems in baseball. So that step back was supposed to be a 2 to 3 year step back. So that puts you in 2021 or 2022. And because of that, and then the COVID year obviously pushing us back. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it's acceptable how bad the Mariners have been. Don't misconstrue me. I just think there's so much more nuance to just say, oh, he's been here for 10 years and team bad. Team bad, 10-year team bad. It's just, there's so much more nuance to that. Like, I think that because of that, 2016 through basically 2020, maybe even almost, 2021, the fact they almost made, nobody expected the Mariners to be good in 2021, and they won 90 games. Nobody expected that. But at that point, that was supposed to be the turning point, okay? And then the next year it was. They made the playoffs. Great. So in my opinion, you 10-year team bad. In my opinion, you have to look at Jerry Dipoto's tenure from 2021, or basically 2019 onward. And again, we knew we were in a step back in 19 and 20. We knew that. There was no question about that. The team being good in 21, nobody expected it. But then you have higher expectations going into 22 and 23. In my opinion, everything that people have to say bad about this front office has all been the last 2 years. It has all been 2023 and 2024. That is what you should really be judging Dipoto off of right now, is those 2 years. I don't know. If you're regressing, then you should be fired from your job, period. I don't necessarily disagree with that. Richard. I just think there's just so much more nuance to it. Yes, clearly the team is regressing, right? They're clearly, they won 90 games, 88 games, and then this year they'll probably win 84. The problem, and we all know it, is John Stanton. They went into the offseason of last year thinking they had more money to play with, and it was blatantly clear that the ownership took away some of that money that they were giving to the front office because of the whole Root Sports thing. That was straight up said. That was reported on and everything. Dipoto went into the offseason thinking he had more money to play with, and then he didn't. So then, okay, great. Now we got to move around these contracts, and in the end, it ended up hurting this team. The Eugenio Suarez trade should have never happened. It shouldn't have happened. But the reason it happened was because of the fact that John Stanton said, no more money for you. That's the problem. That is the problem. And so then Dipoto had to go out there and try to bargain bin dive more like he usually does. But he's like, shit, I still need money. to like go out there and acquire players this offseason. So he had to do some salary dumps, and the salary dumps came in the form of a Eugenio Suarez. Of course, they didn't offer a contract to Teoscar Hernandez, who was never going to come back here anyway, and Marco Gonzalez again, of course. And so then they reallocated money, and their payroll still went up, just not by as much as it should have gone up. The Mariners at the time of their highest payroll was, I believe, 2018, the Jack Zarenzik team that was still left over of Cano, Cruz, Felix, etc. That team at 2018 was about 100, we'll just call it about almost 180 million, I believe. And, well, yeah, that's true accent, but I mean, it's kind of the same with Josh Rojas. Kind of the same with Josh Rojas, you know? And so you look at that 2018 team, Jerry Dipoto was going for it with the team that he was handed by Jack Zarenzik. It didn't work out, so be it. It was what it was. He went. Nobody was mad at Jerry Dipoto at that time. Nobody was mad about that. But here we are. Oh, Richard, do we want to talk about Dipoto with the? Do we want to talk about Dipoto with the Angels? Here's the thing. You can call me a Dipoto. You can call me a Dipoto bootlicker or whatever you want. The fact of the matter is, he's worked for some shitty owners. I think he is incredibly smart. I also think he's incredibly stupid. Put that on a shirt. He's an incredibly smart baseball guy when it comes to draft development trade. I think that is a very good motto. Unfortunately, he's also really stupid when it comes to dismissing players or the 54% comment, etc. When you look at, I mean, Jerry Dipoto left the Angels. He quit. He stopped working for the Angels because Artie Moreno kept telling him that he needed to go out there and get all these big name guys. Dipoto's talked about it before. Like, I think that when he was with the Angels, they signed Josh Hamilton, they signed Albert Pujols, CJ Wilson, etc. And because of that, like, their payroll was an albatross, and look at where they're at now. Like, I don't know, Artie Moreno and Mike Scioscia. I mean, there have been so many people that have talked about how much Artie Moreno meddles with with this entire like Angels team. I just think that he's the problem. That is true, Shaloodle. But at the same, I mean, they were signed like for a long time. You know what I mean? They were signed at like their like early 40s. So I think that like maybe not as fast as they did. Like, they should not have fallen off as fast as they did. But I think obviously the aging thing, you know. Why are other small market teams making the playoffs at a higher rate than the Mariners? Tampa is competitive almost every year. Baltimore has righted the ship. Cleveland is a monster this year. All right, so here we go. Tampa Bay. Who is it? Eric Neander, right? Eric Neander. Their front office, they're geniuses. Like, yeah, you did just compare Teoscar Hernandez, Colton Wong, Mitch Garver, and Jorge Polanco to fall. You just compare them to Albert Pujols and Josh Hamilton's, two of probably the best players in the history of this sport at their peak. Yeah, you did. All right, here we go. You ready? I'm going to tell you why. I mean, otherwise, it's just pure luck. But the reason that Tampa, their front office is probably the best in baseball. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. I think that the Tampa Bay front office, if they're trading a player, there's a reason for it. They are so good. They're like Eric Neander, their development staff. Something about Tampa Bay is crazy. I don't know how to explain that one. Baltimore, they tanked. Baltimore tanked for like 5 years. So they were able to get the number 1 pick. And that's literally, Baltimore is the reason. Baltimore and Houston are the reason that the draft lottery exists now. It's because they tanked. When you get a bunch of number 1 picks for like 4 years in a row, or like that high a pick, you're going to end up with some good guys. And at the same time, Baltimore also got a new owner. A new owner that's willing to invest in the team. So that's Baltimore. Who was the other one? I missed the third one. Cleveland. Cleveland's an interesting one. Cleveland is an interesting one because their team is sneaky. Their team is sneaky good. I like Cleveland's team a lot. They put a lot of contact like on the ball. Also, just saying, there was some weird like Cleveland's weird like putting up in the 300 level, like adding a new like breezeway or whatever, so the ball flies out over there. Weird. Like, I'm just saying, kind of weird. Kansas City, clearly Kansas City's cheating, right? That's like the whole thing. People are still saying that Kansas City's cheating. Clearly they're cheating. But yeah, Cleveland is a team that I think is very interesting. I don't think that they're very good this year, and sometimes teams, I guess, just get hot. Like, I had no thoughts that Cleveland would be this good this year, and they are. I don't know what to tell you about that one. They're legitimately cheating? Alright, dude. Show me proof. When Ken Rosenthal tweets at Accent, I'm going to say, Accent said it. Accent was first. I don't know, man. They might... I'm just saying, it has been a little weird. At the start of the year, people were saying, I'm like, no, guys, come on, be real. And now I look at it, I'm like, whoa. Got a new owner. Yeah, exactly, Jacob. The Mets got a new owner willing to spend, but they only have one playoff appearance in his short tenure, got knocked out in the wildcard round, and could miss it again this year. Yep. And that just goes to show why there's so much more nuance than just have money, spend money. Get player, spend money. Like, I don't know. There's just so much. I agree, Jacob. There's so much nuance. There's so much nuance into building a baseball team that is so much, that goes so much deeper than just you have a GM that's letting you spend money. You know what I mean? It'd be nice. Like, I think that the Mariners should be closer to 200 million. The luxury tax is what, 232? I think they should be closer to 200 million. See, Joe, I wanted to say it. I knew you would. Yeah, honestly, Accent, that would have made sense. The only reason I could see that it might not have happened, Accent, is because at least for the rest of this year, ride the money. See, NA gets it. NA gets how I was saying it. The only reason I could think is that maybe they were worried that he was going to have to get shut down this year, and so maybe they would wait till the off season. I don't know, but yeah. We tried to get rid of Eugenio and Teo, but got more strikeout merchants. And like, how do you explain that? I don't know. I don't know how you explain it. D-Boy, what's up, man? I have the best hair ever. Thanks, man. I need a haircut bad. Yeah, I mean, if they sign Juan Soto this offseason, then I will take back everything bad that I've said about John Stanton in this stream. I will. I mean, that's the thing, though, chat, is it is so abundantly clear that hitters can't hit here. It's so abundantly clear that hitters can't hit in Seattle that nobody is going to come here. Like, there's... not Scott. I keep reading Scott Servais' name. Juan Soto, that's what I'm trying to say. I was going to say Scott Boras, Juan Soto, whatever. Anyway, if Juan Soto looks at his phone and sees that Jerry Dipoto is calling, he's going to block the number. So, what? No, I said 15K by the end. 15K by the end of the year. Accent. If we hit 15K by the end of the year, then I will shave my head. What do you ask for when you get your haircut? I get a 2 on the sides and back. A 2 on the sides and back. And then usually it's like 2 inches left on top. I think 2 or 3. Does he hate himself? Maybe, Slippery, maybe. I don't know. It's possible. Justin Upton blocked a trade from Arizona to Seattle. Yup. Because who wants to come here? Why did they hit here? Because they were elite hitters. That's the only logical, like, thing to say. They were elite hitters. Nelly specifically. Get cornrows? No. Just no. Why would I do that? Nelson Cruz specifically is the one guy that stands out as, like, he came here and he hit. He just hit in Seattle. And that's what, like, why Nelson Cruz should be a Mariners Hall of Famer one day. Like, he came here and he hit. Wave check? Is that what that is? Is that a wave? Dipoto should have been fired before Servais, providing has been players beyond their years. As the old adage is, shit in, shit out. That's all Dipoto has provided. I'm not opposed to a new owner. I mean, first things first, they need to find a way to get rid of stupid John Stanton. Chill out, Grandpa. What? Dumb Lego guy. What's up, man? Sounds like Steamboat. It sounds like Steamboat is going to be Edgar Martinez. So. I mean, I don't know, Jacob. Did you watch him in his last, 2 years with the Mariners? Hitting was not necessarily his forte. Did I hear about Colton Wong? What about him? Calling it now, they're going to win the World Series this year. That's what I like to hear. Water bottle moment. Was DeHart a huge problem, too? I mean, he was the hitting coach, so. In my opinion, none of the guys were necessarily the problem. You know what I mean? Like, other than going in, and we should call up Clase. Okay, Dorian. Other than going in and just gutting the entire coaching staff, I don't know. I think that it makes sense to bring back, Edgar, I guess. Why not? You know what I mean? At least for the rest of this year. He makes too much money not helping the Mariners, and he's too successful to sell a team. Yeah, true. Someone commented on Wong Insta post saying he would be one of the Mariners' best hitters this year. And he liked it? This year? 2024? Can you get a drink of my water bottle? Nope. Sign old Harrison Ford, I mean. Hitting has been extra bad. Yeah, and again, if all of a sudden the Mariners start hitting, these guys are gone, sick. It is, Edgar back as a hitting coach. That's what it sounds like, Critter. It's nothing official yet. Nothing is official yet. But, yeah, I think that based on everything we've heard from, Adam Jude and stuff, Edgar's coming back in some capacity and probably as the hitting coach. You're checked out, bro. It's so sad, Maze. I feel it, man. What's up, man? Hope you're doing well. I'm just saying, the Mariners have already lost a half game. The Mariners have already lost a half game in the standings in the Dan Wilson era. I'm just saying. JP back tomorrow? It's possible. I hope so. Seattle simply has the Monstars talent draining powers. It's true. Wong would be the one of our best hitters this season. That is true. How long do you give Rodriguez if he doesn't start to improve? I mean, he's been fine. He's been pretty good. So, ever since coming back from the injury, so. This is a period of desperation and fury among many fans who believe this team was new and improved this year. If they go on an 8-game win streak and Houston loses 4 of 5, we're back again. Exactly, Jake. And that's the thing is there's certainly a possible, there's a possibility the Mariners could be back at first place by the end of the year. It's still a possibility. It's just so unlikely. Could T-Mobile Park be adjusted to a more hitter-friendly ballpark? It could, Micah, but then your offense, or I'm sorry, your pitching staff, is going to be now hindered by that. You know what I mean? Which is, the pitching staff's fine, so good that probably doesn't matter, but yeah, he's not an interim manager, Blender. He's just here. What are the chances that Edgar comes in and the team becomes a doubles machine? I hope so. Did you see Foul Territory earlier today? They were mentioning about players feeling on an island when it came to hitting approach and coaching. Really? I did not see that. I'd have to take a look at that. But, I mean, based on everything else I've seen, I wouldn't even be shocked. JP was talked about potentially going on a rehab assignment this week. Okay, was hitting off a tee in Seattle during the Dodgers series. Pog. Julio's quite literally been nowhere near 100% healthy this year. That's true. I agree with that. Do you think we trade a prospect with Haniger or Garver to dump their salaries in the offseason? I mean, maybe. I don't know, man. I hope that they are allowed to spend some money this offseason. That's all I got to say. Depending on the rest of the season, do the Mariners keep Dan Wilson and roll with it? I mean, it sounds like that's the plan, Steamboat, as of right now. They're going to roll with him and keep him next year. Biggest mistake Dipoto ownership made is not going through a full rebuild like the Orioles did. Instead, it was a half-assed one. It's tough to say. It's tough to say, D-Man, because the Mariners, for a team that had been losing for so long, they needed to have a win sooner rather than later. If you were to go into a full 10-year rebuild, you're talking about 30 years of a team just being absolutely terrible. I mean, I don't know. At least they were good for a few years. You know what I mean? Who are you looking for now to fill the position of manager next year? Honestly, I have no idea. I don't even have a finger on the pulse of that. Surely the M's can make up 10 games in a single month the same way they blew their division lead. I agree, AJ. Give Dan Wilson 2 seasons. Leftover scrap shouldn't count towards the overall fan base. View him as a team leader, unless you know he makes some really dumb mistakes. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I'll be interested to see his management style. It's going to be interesting to see. I'm excited to see Dan Wilson get thrown out of a game. That's going to be fun. Trading Castillo is a possibility. They will need to trade some starting pitchers for some decent hitting. Maybe. I mean, the thing is the hitters are coming. The hitters are coming with Cole Young, Tyler Locklear, Ryan Bliss, etc. These guys are on their way. So, I think they're getting closer. $9.99 from Frodo. Frodo said, you can't sign and trade for 30-plus-year-olds and expect them to perform to their prior season. Father Time always wins. This roster is dinosaurs and utility players, and none of them would play full-time anywhere else. Huh. That's a lot to take in, Frodo. I appreciate the $9.99. I don't necessarily disagree with the fact that you can sign 30-year-old players. You know what I mean? Hell, when the Mariners signed Nelson Cruz, he was like 35. So, also, the team's not old. You have Mitch Haniger. He's not even old. He's like early 30s. I don't know. The team's really not that old. No reason he should have been this mediocre. He was in the 30-30 club last year. I mean, he's been hurt a lot this year. That's the big thing. How would they make the park more hitter friendly? Bringing in the fences, changing around the batter's eye. There are options, but yeah. Will the hitters be in Seattle by the time we have a stellar pitching rotation? Theoretically, yes. They should be here. Some of them will probably start getting here next year. I would assume that we might see Cole Young next year. We might even see who am I trying to say here? Cole Young next year. Harry Ford, that's what I'm trying to say. Might see Harry next year. There are guys, you know what I mean? But JT is 40. Well, they just got him. And it's not like he's like a huge part of this team. But Garver's played more innings than he ever had before. That's because he's always been hurt before. I did not Mariners World. I'll have to go back and see. What they said for what Cameron Maben said. Yo, there's the $9.99 photo. Appreciate it. Has Justin Turner been any good for y'all? Unfortunately, not recently, which sucks. Extend the outfield to make it more hitter friendly, in terms of make it bigger. I mean, Joe, what? Other than Polanco, Mitch's were replacement level players, to be fair. We need a player like Vladdy. Okay, guys. I'm just gonna... Sorry, Daydara. How are they gonna pay all the starters? I don't know. I don't know about all that. Go get Vogel back? I'm just saying, he'd be one of the better hitters on this team. He'd be one of the better hitters on this team. Go get Danny V. I'm just saying. I don't know, Stemo. That's a good question. I'll be interested to see Dan's, like, assuming that Dan is here next year. Yeah, we're past it, Aaron. We're past it. Assuming that Dan is still here next year, I would assume he has some sort of say because of who he is. Like, don't get me wrong, he's a very smart dude. I don't know. I'd be interested to see where he ends up in a year's time if he does end up staying. That's going to be the first, like, telltale sign. We need Mike Trout. Every team needs Mike Trout. I don't know. He's always on the injured list now. Why has Garcia been so bad for us? Micah, that's a great question. That is a great question. Will 50 million get to two very good bats? Yeah, probably. The problem is you start spending that much money on a bunch of guys. How, like, retaining your current starting rotation needs to be the first thing that should be done. And the problem is nobody's going to want to come here because it's so hard to hit here. So it's going to have to, they're probably going to have to all come in trades. In my opinion, chat, had Vladimir Guerrero been available, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. been available at the trade deadline, he would be a Seattle Mariner right now. He would be a Seattle Mariner right now had he been available at the trade deadline. Just saying. You were there for Servais' last home game against the Tigers. You left early, bottom of the 8th inning. They stole a W with 2 outs, bottom of the 9th. W. Gregory Santos injured all year. True. Thoughts on Dom? Man, Zay, I don't know. Talk with the O's. Westberg for Brian Wu. I need more than just Jordan Westberg for Brian Wu. I need more, personally. They need to give Cal an extension now. He is a unfortunately a Scott Boras guy, so he's probably not signing a no extension. You're a Mariners fan now for 2 years. This team is breaking my heart. Going back down to the Giants at the weekend, but it's hard times. Hell yeah, Shane. Well, okay, you moved here to Vancouver, Canada from Ireland, huh? Okay, very cool. Well, hey, man, happy to have you as part of the Mariners family. In terms of them breaking your heart, I hope you're ready to get used to it. I am aware of how good Jordan Westberg has been, but starting pitching is so good starting pitching is so hard to come by. I would much rather have Brian Wu than Jordan Westberg straight up. And now if they give me Westberg plus, I'm not asking for like Westberg and Holiday, but I'm going to need more than just Westberg. Who are the top 3 prospects in our system? For Joe and I, it went Colt Emerson, Cole Young, and then Lazaro Montes. Who are you willing to give away for Vlad if he's available before the next season starts? Less than I was before, because he'll have less of a year, only a year left. So I'd probably say like 2 top 10s, and then like maybe another top 10 to 15 or 10 to 20. It's a pitcher's league, and we need offense. We do. That's true. But you can't sell short on a guy like Brian Wu. You just can't. You really can't. Notice how Garver has not been playing lately. Maybe they finally got it. I mean, he's been bad. He's been so bad. Michael Arroyo, number 1 prospect in baseball. Let's see it. I hope not. I think the whole offensive coordinator thing was weird to begin with. Maybe, guys, what's Brant Brown doing? I know he's not busy. Does he want to be the hitting coach? Does Brant Brown want to be the hitting coach? I know he ain't busy. Is Harry Ford going to play first next year? Who knows? Who knows, man? I mean, if Harry Ford's here next year, I'm assuming he's catching, but he can play third, and he can probably play the outfield if you need him to. Somehow my childhood team, the Marlins, have a more recent playoff appearance than the Mariners, and I don't know how to feel about that. That hurts a little bit, AJ. Yeah, the random playoff appearance for the Marlins. Well, that was last year, right? They made the wild card. Crazy. C.J. Abrams and Lane Thomas. Didn't Lane Thomas get traded? Wait, didn't he get traded? Hey, Daydara. What's up, man? Where would Ford even play if catcher doesn't work? I mean, he could play third. He could play the outfield. So maybe the batter's eye in center needs to be fixed at T-Mobile. The hitters have said the mound feels slanted. Yeah, I mean, maybe, Justin. The only problem is if they do that, then that immediately hurts the Mariners' pitching. So, yeah. I don't know. Luis Castillo, Harry Ford, and Jorge Polanco for Jordan Westberg, Seinel Perez, Felix Bautista, and Heston Kierstad. There's a lot of moving parts there. Whoo-wee. That is scary. I don't know. I'd have to look more into that. Was expecting to move today, but also very skeptical from Dipoto because they usually wait until the end of the season to make moves. I mean, it just felt like they had to do it. It just felt like the right time. You know what I mean? I think that this was the one thing that made sense to do right now. It sucks. Again, I love Scott Servais, but here we are. It's something that I think just had to happen. So, Lane Thomas is the worst hitter in baseball since deadline. True. Yeah, I don't disagree with that, Joe. I think that if you do move the batter's eye, the pitchers are so good, it's probably fine. So, yeah, I would say Felix Bautista ain't going nowhere. I don't know why they were doing pretty well or pretty all right, but now they suck. Baseball's weird, man. Baseball's so weird. Yeah, the whole Garver situation is terrible, Jacob. Like, if a guy's playing bad, it is what it is, but you can never say shit like that. Colt Emerson for Joey Bart? No. Thanks for reading my message. Shut up. Shut up, Joe. Imagine Dusty Baker as your Mariners 2025 manager. What about Gerson the person? Gerson the person? Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's I don't know, man. It's been a weird day. It has been a very, very weird day so far. Bruh. Heck the Astros. Chat, if nothing else, we all can agree heck the Astros, right? Hang on, I gotta go see something here. No, okay. What does this mean for Scott Servais' legacy? It's a great question. Dorian trying to get Lucario'd. Facts. A bag of Lay's for Yordan. No, I don't want Yordan. I don't want Yordan. He's funny. He looks like he sleeps with only one pillow. If Matt Chapman opts out for injury, should we sign him? Honestly, sure. Why not? Where's Joe? Dude was napping like he had a tough day or something like that. I don't know. Scott being the second best manager here is actually sad. Yep. Go Mariners. DeHart being gone is good for my soul. I hate to say that, but even looking at a way switch for the new guys compared to their recent history is rough. Job is to get the best out of your bats, and he didn't. Yeah. I mean, it sucks to see guys lose their job, right? It sucks to see guys lose their income that they have for their families. Like that, I think when you look at it as a person, like it just sucks to see it happen. But in the end, a guy is not getting the job done. When you don't get the job done, you get fired, and that's just the way it works. It's no different than if I was to stop doing my job at well, that might not be true. I don't do much at my job, but anyway, yeah. The front office fan. So I think that today is this like the way the whole Scott servicing was handled just goes to show that I don't think that the front office understands from a human standpoint. Hey guys, you guys subscribe so we can hit 11.8 thousand. Thanks guys. Shut up, Joe. Joe, maybe if you were here, then it'd be fine. But your fat ass wanted to sleep instead. The Mariners are almost tied on record with the Tigers. Ben, I want to die. God, you guys distracted me. Oh, it just goes to show how the Mariners front office has no idea how to handle a situation like this. We talked about the whole thing with the Seager comments, and we've talked about how, and like Seager said that he never even talked to Dipoto and whatnot. I don't necessarily believe that part of it. I think Seager was just mad. But I don't know. I think that the front office does not know how to handle the human side of everything. And that's the scary part. We saw it today with Scott Servais. We saw it with the Seager stuff. We've seen it with this other guys. I don't know. Yeah, you never let me know. All right? And there's a reason, Joe, why I had to stream when I did. Okay? Yeah, Joe didn't even show up to work today. He didn't even show up to work. No way the Tigers make the playoffs for the Mariners? Oh, facts. No, they ain't making the playoffs. No shot. No shot. Tigers suck, right, Ben? But yeah, I think that it's just so, yeah, that is true, Secular. He heard about it on TV. Bring A-Rod in as a coach? Nah. Cal calling out, that's hard to say. Cal calling out the front office, another good one there. Another good one, Bling. Yep, I forgot about that. He's doing his job while you drink lattes and eat crisps. True. Do you remember the 3-win road trip starting from Cleveland? I would say this isn't bad compared to the 1-win road trip. The calls to fire Scott, I would say, began there. Yeah, honestly, Steamboat, I do. It was Cleveland and then Miami and then Tampa, I believe, right? Yeah, I think that road trip is one of the ones that was like, ugh. Jared Kelenic wasn't exactly a fan of this front office either. I mean, that's because the Jared Kelenic situation, in my opinion, is a little bit different because he thought that he should be called up. And I think that then when he did get called up, he was ass. And I don't know, he always thought he was so good, and he just never figured it out, and still hasn't with the Braves. So, watching preseason football until MLB playoffs start. Hope Baltimore wins it all. I'm down for Baltimore to win it all, but if the Mariners don't make it, I'm go Royals, baby. It's all about the Royals. We love the Royals simply because I predicted them to win the World Series at the start of the year. Yeah, shut up, Ben. Ben, you smell like poop. You smell like poop, Ben. You ever think about that? He thought he was a superstar? Yeah. It's tough, honestly. What has to happen for us to make it to the Astros series with a chance? They just gotta start. I mean, they just gotta start winning. I don't know what else I could say other than they just gotta start winning, man. Because you gotta start taking the series. Rooting for cheaters while you hate the Astros? Classy. That's right, accent. That's right. Until I see proof that the Royals are cheating, you can suck my ass, accent. Thoughts? No. Don't remind him, Joe. It's bait. Don't remind him. It's bait. It's all bait. Bobby Watt Jr. I agree, AJ. I agree. He's crazy. You replied to a tweet on the Mariners Twitter of an interesting stat from when Edgar was hitting coach. When we actually, you know what's funny? I did see that. And in terms of the offensive rankings, during that time, again, I think that it helps that they had a very good offensive team in terms of having Cruz, Cano, Seager, etc. But yeah, it's just what? He could suck my ass. Accent could suck my ass, dude. Don't take the bait, Joe. Don't. Listen, don't feed the trolls, Joe. The thing is, Bobby was still a clear all-star on the road anyway. That's also true. Yo. Alex? Alex? Kirby getting mad for not getting taken out was also an awkward Mariners moment. Yeah, that one felt weird, but also at the same time, like, Kirby was just grumpy, which was, like, strange. I don't know. That was a weird one. You're right. You low-key forgot that you could, that you could chat. You've been sitting here watching the whole time. Violent Cabbage. What's going on, man? I love your name. Violent Cabbage. That'd be kind of scary. Chat, the plan, watching it like it's actual TV. The plan, chat, okay, was to send you guys over to the Marine Layer stream that they're about to do. But they said they were going to go live at 7:30, and they haven't yet. And so I don't know how I can't send you over there. Thoughts on Mariners hiring little known AA superstar manager Kyle Jones as the new coach? I'm in. Let's make it happen. Between you and Joe, who believes the Mariners have a chance to make the playoffs? Between Joe and I don't know. I think we're both kind of like, eh. I don't know if either of... I mean, I just think that... What else do I have to look forward to in my day-to-day life? You know what I mean? White Sox over, under 40 wins. I mean, at this point, seems kind of under. But they said YouTube and Instagram. I'm on their YouTube, and they're not going live. They said 7:30. It's now 7:32. You tweeted at him saying late. Go live with Marine Layer? Nah. Nah. When's the next members only video? I'm fiending. Joe and I recorded 3 yesterday. Hot take, but the Mariners gonna win the division. I mean, shoot, let's make it happen. I'm in. You would say you're more optimistic. Yeah, I've just been downtrodden. You know what I mean? This team has just broken me over the past, calendar month or so. And I think that because of that, I just have had I've had a very difficult time trying to keep myself in good spirits. Oh, that's good. Fish and catch. That's good. They're still not live, dude. Astros fan in chat. Oh my goodness. Thanks for the shout out. No problem, Alex. Heck yeah. Where's the Astros fan? Who done it? You're going to be sitting at home in October with the Tigers. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, that's all right. I don't want to sit with... Tigers are scary. I don't want to sit with them. All right, chat. Well, I guess what I'm going to do... Don't be hating on Mariners not making the playoffs. Here's what I'm going to do, chat. I'm going to just post that. Okay? So you guys can go over to the Marine Layers YouTube. And then whenever they actually do go live, maybe you guys will be there. You know what I mean? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe they just will go live at some point. But you can go talk to Lyle and TJ. Some great dudes over there. I'm interested to kind of see what they're going to have to say. So whenever they go live, I might pop in there as well. But chat, that's going to do it for me. We've been live for over an hour now. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with me in this one. Weird day. Very, very strange day to be a Mariners fan. Nova, what's up? Hey, man. Very strange day to be a Mariners fan. But alas, I think that the Mariners might be better today than they were yesterday. Simply because they just needed a new voice. So... that's kind of where I'm at on the whole thing. Sounds like you guys are kind of in the same boat. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with me in this one. I'll be, of course, watching the Mariners game tomorrow.